Chapter 49. Leo. The way Leo figured it, he spent more time crashing than he did flying. If there were a rewards card for frequent crashes, he'd be like double platinum level. He regained consciousness as he was free falling through the clouds. He had a hazy memory of Kyan taunting him right before he got shot into the sky. He hadn't actually seen her, but he could never forget that Snow Witch's voice. He had no idea how long he'd been gaining at altitude, but at some point, he must have passed out from the cold and the lack of oxygen. Now he was on his way down, healing for his biggest crash ever. The clouds parted around him. He saw the glittering sea far below. No sign of the Argo 2, no sign of any coastline, familiar or otherwise, except for one tiny island at the horizon. Leo can fly. He had a couple of minutes at most before he hit the water and go kersplat. He decided he didn't like that ending to the epic ballad of Leo. He was still clutching the Archidem sphere, which didn't surprise him. Unconscious or not, he would never let go of his most valuable possession. With a little manoeuvring, he managed to pull some duct tape from his tool belt and strap the sphere to his chest. That made him look like a low-budget Iron Man, but at least he had both hands free. He started to work furiously, tinkering with the sphere, pulling out anything he thought would help from his magic tool belt: a drop cloth, metal extender, some string and grommets. Working while falling was almost impossible. The wind roared in his ears. It kept ripping tools, screws and canavs out of his hands. But finally he constructed a makeshift frame. He popped open a hatch on the sphere, teased out 2 wires and connected them to his crossbar. How long until he hit the water? Maybe a minute. He turned the sphere control dial and it whirred into action. More bronze wires shot from the orb intuitively, sensing what Leo needed. Cords laces up the canav's drop cloth. The frame began to expand on its own. Leo pulled out a can of kerosene and a rubber tube and lashed them to the thirsty new engine that the orb was helping him assemble. Finally he made himself a rope halter and shifted so that the axe frame was attached to his back. The sea got closer and closer, a glittering expanse of slap you in the face death. He yelled in defiance and punched the sphere over a switch. The engine coughed to life. The makeshift rotor turned. The canav's blade spun, but much too slowly. Leo's head was pointed straight down at the sea. Maybe 30 seconds to impact. At least nobody's around, he thought bitterly, or I'd be a demigod joke forever. What was the last thing to go through Leo's mind? The Mediterranean? Suddenly the arm got warm against his chest. The blades turned faster. The engine coughed, and Leo tilted sideways, slicing through the air. Yes, he yelled. He had successfully created the world's most dangerous personal helicopter. He shot towards the island in the distance, but he was still falling much too fast. The blades shuddered. The camera screamed. The beach was only a few hundred yards away when the sphere turned lava hot and the helicopter exploded, shooting flames in every direction. If he hadn't been immune to fire, Leo would have been charcoal. As it was, the mid-air explosion probably saved his life. The blast flung Leo sideways while the bulk of flaming contrast smashed into the shore at full speed with a massive kaboom! Leo opened his eyes, amazed to be alive. He was sitting in a bathtub-sized crater in his hand. A few yards away, a column of thick black smoke roiled into the sky from a much larger crater. The surrounding beach was peppered with smaller pieces of burning wreckage. My sphere! Leo patted his chest. The sphere wasn't there. His duct tape and rope halter had disintegrated. He struggled to his feet. None of his bones seemed broken, which was good. But he mostly was worried about his academic sphere. If he destroyed his priceless artifact to make a flaming 30-second helicopter, he was going to track down the stupid snow goddess Chiron and smack her with a monkey wrench. He staggered across the beach, wondering why there wasn't any tourists or hotels or boats in sight. The island seemed perfect for a resort, with blue water and soft white sand. Maybe it was uncharted. Did they still have uncharted islands in the world? Maybe Chiron had blasted him out of the Mediterranean altogether. For all he knew, he was in Bora Bora. The larger crater was about 80 feet deep. At the bottom, the helicopter blades were still trying to turn. The engine bletched in smoke. The rudder croaked like a stepped-on frog. But dang, pretty impressive for a rush job. The helicopter had apparently crashed onto something. The crater was littered with broken wood, furniture, shattered china plate, some half-melted pewter goblets, and burning linen napkins. Leo wasn't sure why all of that fancy stuff had been on the beach, but at least it meant that this place was inhabited after all. Finally, he spotted the academic sphere, steaming and charred but still intact, making unhappy clicking noises in the center of the wreckage. "Sphere!" he yelled. "Come to Papa!" He skated to the bottom of the crater and snatched up the sphere. He collapsed, sat cross-legged, and cradled the device in his hands. The one surface was still hot, but Leo didn't care. It was still in one piece, which meant he could use it. Now he could just figure out where he was and how to get back to his friends. He was making a mental list of tools he might need when a girl's voice interrupted him. "What are you doing? You blew up my dining table." Uh-oh. Immediately Leo thought, uh-oh. He met a lot of goddesses, but this girl glaring down at him from the edge of the crater actually looked like a goddess. She wore a sleeveless white Greek-style dress with a gold-braided belt. Her hair was long, straight, and golden brown, almost the same cinnamon toast color as hazel, but the similarity to hazel ended. The girl's face was milky pale with dark almond-shaped eyes and pouty lips. She looked maybe 15, about Leo's age. I'm sure she was pretty, but with an angry expression on her face. She reminded Leo of every popular girl in the school he'd ever attended. The ones who made fun of him, gossiped a lot, and thought they were superior. Basically did everything they could to make his life miserable. Leo disliked her instantly. "Oh, I'm sorry," he said. "I just fell out of the sky. I constructed a helicopter in midair, burst into place halfway down, crashed and barely survived. But by all means, let's talk about your dining table." He snatched up a half-melted goblet. Who puts a dining table on the beach where innocent demigods can crash into it? Who does that? The girl clenched her fists. Leo was pretty sure she was going to march down the crater and punch him in the face. Instead, she looked up at the sky. "Really?" she screamed at the empty blue. "You want to make my class even worse, Caesar? Hephaestus, Hermes? Have you no shame?" Leo noticed that he just picked the three gods that she just picked. 3 gods to blame, and one of them was his dad. He figured that wasn't a good sign. I doubt they're listening, you know. The whole split personality thing. "Show yourself!" the girl yelled at the sky, completely ignoring Leo. "It's not bad enough I'm exiled. It's not bad enough you take away the few good heroes I'm allowed to meet. You think it's funny to send me this? Not this charbroiled runt of a boy to ruin my tranquility. This is not funny. Take it back. Hey, Sunshine, Leah said. I'm right here, you know. You growled like a cornered animal. Do not call me Sunshine. Get out of that hole and come with me now, so I can get you off my island. Well, since you asked so nicely. Leah didn't know what the crazy dog was so worked up about, but he didn't really care. If she could help him leave this island, that was totally fine by him. He clutched his chaired sphere and climbed out of the crater. When he reached the top, the girl was already marching down the shoreline. He jogged to catch up. She just stood in disgust at the burning wreckage. This was a pristine beach. Look at it now. Yeah, my bird. Leah muttered, I should have crashed on one of the other islands. Oh wait, there aren't any. She snarled and kept walking along the edge of the water. Leah caught a whiff of cinnamon. Maybe her perfume? Not that he cared. Her hair swayed down her back in a mesmerizing kind of way, which of course he didn't care about either. He scanned the sea, just like he'd seen during his fall. There was no land masses or ships, all the way to the horizon. Looking inland, he saw grassy hills dotted with trees. A footpath wound through a grove of cedars. Leah wondered where it led, probably to the girl's secret lair, where she roasted her enemies so she could eat them at her dining table on the beach. He was so busy thinking about that, he didn't notice when the girl stopped. He ran into her. Gosh! She turned and grabbed his arms to keep from falling in the surf. Her hands were strong, as though she worked with them for a living. Back at camp, the girls in the hostess cabin had strong hands like that, but she didn't look like a hostess kid. She glared at him, her almond eyes only a few inches from his. Her cinnamon smell reminded him of the Abuel's apartment. Man, he hadn't thought about that place in years. The girl pushed him away. All right, this spot is good. Now tell me you want to leave. What? Leah's brain was still kind of muddled from the crash landing. He wasn't sure he had heard her right. Do you want to leave? She demanded. Surely you've got somewhere to go. Yeah, my friends are in trouble. I need to get back to my ship. And fine, she snapped. Just say I want to leave. Okay, Leah wasn't sure, but her tone kind of hurt, which was stupid, since he didn't care what this girl thought. I want to leave whatever you said. The girl pronounced it slowly as if Leah were 5-year-olds. As if Leah were 5 years old. I want to leave Ogigia, he said. She exhaled, clearly revealed. Good. In a moment, a magical raft will appear. It will take you wherever you want to go. Who are you? She looked like she was about to answer, but stopped herself. It doesn't matter. You'll be gone soon. You're obviously a mistake. That was harshly, I thought. He'd spent enough time thinking he was a mistake as a demigod on this quest. In his life in general, he didn't need a random crazy goddess reinforcing the idea. He remembered a Greek legend about a girl on an island. Maybe one of his friends had mentioned it. It didn't matter, as long as she let him leave. Any moment now, the girl sailed the water. No magical raft appeared. Maybe he got stuff in traffic, Leah said. This is wrong. She glared at the sky. This is completely wrong. So Plan B, Leah asked. You got a phone or? The girl turned and stormed inland. When she got to the foot bus, she sprinted into the grove of the trees and disappeared. Okay, Leah said, or you could just run away. From his toolbelt pouches, he pulled some rope and a snap hook, then fastened the Archinosphere to his belt. He looked out to sea, still no magical raft. He could stand here and wait, but he was hungry, thirsty and tired. He was bandaged up pretty bad from his fall. He didn't want to follow that crazy girl, no matter how good she smelled. On the other hand, he had no place else to go. The girl had a dining table, so she probably had food. And she seemed to find Leo's presence annoying. Annoying her is a plus, he decided. He followed her into the hills. Chapter 50. Leo. Holy heavens dust, Leo said. The path opened into the nicest garden Leo had ever seen. Not that he spent a lot of time in gardens, but dang, on the left there was an orchard, a vineyard, peach trees with red golden fruit that smelled awesome in the warm sun, carefully pruned vines bursting with grapes, bowers of flowering jasmine, and a bunch of other plants Leo couldn't name. On the right were net beds of vegetables and herbs, arranged like spokes around a big sparkling fountain, where bronze satyrs spewed water into a central bowl. At the back of the garden where the footpath ended, a cave opened in the side of a grassy hill. Compared to Bunker 9 back in camp, the entrance was tiny, but it was impressive in its own way. On either side, crystalline rock had been carved into glittering, Grecian columns. The top were fitted with a bronze rod that held silky white columns. Leo's nose was assaulted by good smells. Cedar, juniper, jasmine, peaches, and fresh herbs. The aroma from the cave really caught his attention. Like beef stew cooking, he started towards the entrance. Seriously, how could he not? He stopped when he noticed the girl. She was kneeling in her vegetable garden, her back to Leo. She muttered to herself as she dug furiously with a trowel. Leo approached her from one side so she could see him. He didn't feel like surprising her when she was armed with a sharp garden implement. She kept cursing in ancient Greek and stabbing at the dirt. She had flecks of soil all over her arms, her face and her white dress, but she didn't seem to care. Leo could appreciate that. She looked better with a little mud, little less like a beauty queen, and more like an actual get-your-hands-dirty kind of person. I think you've punished that dirt enough, he offered. She scowled at him, her eyes red and watery. Just go away. You're crying, he said, which was stupidly obvious. But seeing her that way took the wind out of his helicopter blades. So to speak, it was hard to say by someone who was crying. None of your business, she muttered. It's a big island. Just find your own place. Leave me alone. She waved vaguely to the south. Go that way, maybe. So no medical path, Leo said. No other way off this island? Apparently not. What am I supposed to do then? Sit in the sand dunes until I die? That would be fine. The girl threw her trowel and cursed at the sky. Except I suppose he can't die here, can he? Jesus? This is not funny. Can't die here? Hold up. Leo's head spun like a crankshaft. He couldn't quite translate what this girl was saying. Like when he heard Spaniards or South Americans speak in Spanish. Yeah, he could understand it, sort of, but it sounded different to that. It was almost like another language. I'm going to need some more information here, he said. You don't mean in your face. You don't want me in your face. That's cool. I don't want to be here either. But I'm not going to die in a corner. I have to get off this island. There's got to be a way. Every problem has a fix. That she laughed bitterly. You haven't lived very long if you still believe that. That way she said it sent a shiver up his back. She looked the same age as him, but he wondered how old she really was. You said something about a curse, he prompted. She flexed her fingers like she was practicing her throat strangling technique. Yes, I cannot leave the Ogygia. My father Atlas fought against the gods, and I supported him. Atlas, Leah said. As in the Titan Atlas. Yes, you possibly little. Whatever she was going to say, she put it back. I was imprisoned here where I caused the Olympus no trouble. About a year ago, after the Second Titan War, the gods vowed to forgive their enemies and offers me. Supposedly Percy made them promise. Percy, Leah said. Percy Jackson? She squeezed her eyes shut. A tear trickled down her cheek. Oh, Leah thought. Percy came here, he said. She dug her fingers into the sole. I thought I would be released. I dared to hope, but I'm still here. Leah remembered now. The story was supposed to be a secret, but of course that meant it had spread like wildfire across the camp. Percy had told Annabeth a month later when Percy had gone missing. Annabeth told Piper. Piper told Jason. Percy had talking about visiting this island. He had met a goddess who developed a major crush on him and wanted him to stay, but eventually she let him go. It was that lady, Leah said, the one who was named after Caribbean music. Leah, her eyes glittered murderously. The Caribbean music. Yeah, reggae. Leo shook his head. Merengue? Hold on, I'll get it. He snapped his fingers. Calypso. But Percy said you were awesome. He said you were all sweet and helpful, not, He shot to her feet. Yes, nothing, Leo said. Would you be sweet, he demanded. If the gods forgot their promise to let you go, would you be sweet as they laughed? And at you by sending another hero, but a hero who looked like you? Is that a trick question? The immortals. She turned and marched into her cave. Hey, Leo ran after her. When he got inside, he lost his train of thought. The walls were made from multicolored chunks of crystal. White curtains divided the cave into different rooms, with comfy pillows and woven rugs and platters of fresh fruit. He spotted a harp in one corner, a loom in another, and a big cooking pot, where the stew was bubbling, filling the cavern with luscious smells. The strangest thing, the chores were doing themselves. Towels floated through the air, folding and stacking into neat piles. Spoons washed themselves in a copper sink. The scene reminded Leo of an invisible wind spirit that had served him at Camp Jupiter. Calypso stood at a wash basin, cleaning the dirt off her arms. She scowled at Leo, but she didn't yell at him to leave. She seemed to be running out of energy of her anger. Leo cleared his throat. If he was going to get any help from this lady, he needed to be nice. So I get why you're angry. You probably never want to see another demigod again. I guess that didn't sit right when Percy left you. He was the only latest, she growled. Before him, it was that pirate Drake. Before him, Odysseus. They were all the same. The gods sent me the greatest heroes, the ones I cannot help, but you fall in love with them, dearest, and they leave you? Her chin trembled. That is my curse. I hoped to be free of it by now, but here I am, still stuck on Ogygia after 3,000 years. 3,000? Leo's mouth felt tingly, like he'd just eaten pop rocks. You look good for 3,000. Another worse sort of all. Gods mocked me by sending you. Anger bubbled in Leo's stomach. Yet typically, if Jason were here, Calypso would fall all over him. She'd beg him to stay, but he'd be all noble about returning to his duties and leave Calypso broken-hearted. That magic raft would totally arrive for him. But Leo, he was the annoying guest she couldn't get rid of. She'd never fall for him, because she was totally out of his league. Not that he cared. She wasn't the type anyway. She was way too annoying and beautiful, and well, it didn't matter. Fine, he said. I'll leave you alone, and I'll build something myself and get off this stupid island without your help. She shook her head sadly. You don't understand, do you? The gods are laughing at both of us. Is that raft from up here? That means they've closed Ojiaja. You're stuck here the same as me. You can never leave. Chapter 51. Leo. The first few days were the worst. Leo slept outside in a bed of drop clothes under the stars. It got so cold at night, even on the beach in the summer. So he built fire with the remains of Calypso's dining table. That cheered him up a little. During the days, he walked the circumference of the island and found nothing of interest, unless you liked the beaches and endless sea in every direction. He tried to send a nice message in the rainbows that formed in the sea spray, but he had no luck. He didn't have any drachmas for an offering, and apparently the goddess Iris wasn't interested in nuts and bolts. He didn't even dream, which was unusual for him as for any demigod, so he had no idea what was going on in the outside world. Had his friends got rid of Kaigan? Were they looking for him, or have they sailed on to Epheros to complete the quest? He wasn't even sure what to hope for. He dreamed he'd had back on the Argo 2 finally made sense to him, when the evil sorceress lady had told him to either jump off the cliff into the clouds or descend into a dark tunnel. Where ghostly voices whispered. Their tunnel must have represented the house of Hades, which Leo would never see now. He'd taken the cliff instead, fallen to the sky, to the stupid island, but in his dream, Leo had been given a choice. In real life, he'd done none. Karen simply plucked him off a ship and shot him into orbit. Totally unfair. The worst part of being stuck here, he was losing track of the days. He woke up one morning and couldn't remember if he'd been on a Gita for 3 nights or 4. Calpsio wasn't much help. Leo confronted her in the garden, but she just shook her head. Time is difficult here. Great. For all Leo knew, a century had passed in the real world, and the war with the Gale was over. For better or worse. Or maybe he'd only been on Ogygia for 5 minutes. His whole life might pass here in the time it took his friends on the Argo 2 to have breakfast. Either way, he needed to get off this island. Calypso took the pity on him in some ways. She sent her invisible servants to leave bowls of stew and goblets of lemonade at the edge of the garden. She even sent him a few new sets of clothes, simply undyed cotton trousers and shirts that he must have made on her loom. They fitted him well, so Leo wondered how she got his measurements. Maybe she could use a general pattern for scrammy mail. Anyway, he was glad to have new threads, since his old ones were pretty smelly and burnt. Usually Leo could keep his clothes from burning when he caught fire, but it took concentration. Sometimes back at camp, if he wasn't thinking about it, he'd been working on some metal project. And the Hotford looked down and realized his clothes had burned away, except for his magic tool belt and a smoking pail of underpants. Kind of embarrassing. Despite the gifts, Calpsio obviously didn't want to see him. One time he poked his head inside the cave and she freaked out, yelling and throwing pots at his head. Yeah, she was definitely on Team Leo. He ended up pitching a more permanent camp near the footpath where the beach met the hills. That way he was close enough to pick up his meals, but Calypso didn't have to see him and go into a pot-throwing rage. He made himself a lean to with sticks and canvas. He dug a campfire pit. He even managed to build himself a bench and a work table from some driftwood and dead cedar branches. He spent hours fixing the Archimedes, cleaning it and repairing its circuits. He made himself a compass, but the needle would spin all crazy. No matter what he tried, Leo guessed the GPS would have been useless too. This island was designed to be off the charts, impossible to leave. You remember the old bronze astrolabe he picked up in Bologna? The one the dwarves told him? He had a sneaking suspicion. Odysseus had been thinking about this island when he constructed it, but unfortunately Leo had left it back on the ship with Bufford with the wonder table. Besides, the dwarves had told him the astrolabe didn't work. Something about a missing crystal. He walked the beach wondering why Cain had sent him here, assuming his landing here wasn't an accident. Why not just kill him instead? Maybe Cain wanted him to be in limbo forever. Perhaps he knew the gods were too incapacitated to pay attention to Ogdia, and so the island's magic was broken. That could be why Calypso was stuck here, and why the magic raft wouldn't appear for Leo. Maybe the magic of this place was working just fine. The gods had punished Calypso by sending her Cora Geodudes, who left as soon as she fell for them. Maybe that was the problem. Calypso would never fall for Leo. She wanted him to leave, so they were stuck in a vicious circle if that was Cain's plan. Wow, major leave devices. Darius. Then one morning he made a discovery and things got even more complicated. Leo was walking in the hills following a little brook that ran between two big cedar trees. He liked its area. It was the only place on Ogygia where he couldn't see the sea, so he could pretend he wasn't stuck on an island. In the shade of the trees, he almost felt like he was back at Camp Half-Blood, heading through the woods towards Bunker 9. He jumped over the creek. Instead of landing on soft earth, his feet hit something much harder. Clang! Metal! Excited, Leo dug through mulch until he saw a glint of bronze. Oh man, he giggled like a crazy person as he excavated the scraps. He had no idea why the stuff was here. Hephaestus was always tossing broken parts out of his godly workshop and littering the earth with scrap metal. But what were the chances some of it would hit Ogygia? Leo found a handful of wires, a few bent gears, a piston that might still work, and several hammered shears of celestial bronze. The smallest the size of a drink coaster, the largest the size of a war shield. It wasn't a lot, not compared to Bunker 9, not even to his supplies aboard the Argo 2. But it was more than sand and rocks. He looked up at the sunlight and winked through the cedar branches. Dad, you sent this here for me. Thanks. If you didn't, well, thanks anyway. He gathered up his treasure trove and lodged it back to his campsite. After that, the days passed more quickly and with a lot more noise. First, Leo made himself a fort out of mud bricks, and each one baked with his own fiery hands. He found a large rock he could use as an anvil base, and he pulled nails from his tool belt until he had enough to melt into a plate for a hammering surface. Once that was done, he began to recast the celestial bronze scraps. Every day, his hammer rang on bronze until his rock anvil broke, or his tongues bent, or he ran out of firewood. And each evening he collapsed, drenching in sweat and covered in soot. But he felt great. At least he was working, trying to solve his problem. The first time Calypso came to check on him, it was to complain about the noise. Smoke and fire, she said. Clanging on metal all day long. You're scaring away the birds. Oh no, not the birds, Leo grumbled. But what do you hope to accomplish? He glanced up and almost smashed his thumb with his hammer. He'd been staring at metal fire so long, he'd forgotten how beautiful Calypso was. Annoyingly beautiful. She stood there with the sunlight in her hair, her white skirt fluttering around her legs, a basket of grapes and fresh baked bread tucked under one arm. Leo tried to ignore his rumbling stomach. I'm hoping to get off this island, he said. This is what you want, right? Calypso scowled. She set the basket near his bedroll. You haven't eaten in 2 days. Take a break and eat. 2 days? Leo hadn't even noticed, which surprised him since he liked food. He was even more surprised that Calypso had noticed. Thanks, he muttered. I'll try to hammer more quietly. She sounded unimpressed. After that, she didn't complain about the noise or the smoke. The next time she visited Leo, she was putting the final touches to his first project. She didn't see her approach until she spoke right behind him. I brought you. Leo jumped, dropping his wires. Bronze Bull's girl. Don't sneak on. Leo jumped, dropping his wires. Bronze Bull's girl. Don't sneak up on me like that. She was wearing red today, Leo's favorite color. That was completely irrelevant. She looked really good in red. Also irrelevant. And she wasn't sneaking. I wasn't sneaking, she said. I was bringing you these. She showed him the clothes that were folded on her arm. New pair of jeans, a white t-shirt, an army fugitive jacket. Wait, those were his clothes, except they couldn't be his original army jacket. It hadn't been wearing it. He hadn't been wearing it when he landed on Ogygia, but the clothes Calypso held looked exactly like the clothes he'd been wearing the first day he arrived at Camp Half-Blood. These looked bigger, resisted to fit him better. How, he asked. Calypso set the clothes at his feet and backed away as if he were a dangerous beast. I do have a little magic, you know. You keep burning through the clothes I give you, so I thought I should weave something less flammable. These won't burn. He picked up the jeans, but they felt just like normal denim. They are completely fireproof, Calypso promised. They'll stay clean and expand to fit you. They should even become less scrawny. Thanks. He meant to sound sarcastic, but he was honestly impressive. Leo could make a lot of things, but an inflammable self-cleaning outfit wasn't one of them. So you made an extra replica of my favorite outfit, did you? Did you like Google me or something? She frowned. I don't know that word. You looked me up, he said. Almost like you had some interest in me. She wrinkled her nose. I have an interest in not making you a new set of clothes every other day. I have an interest in you not smelling so bad and walking around my island in smouldering rags. Oh yeah, Leo grinned. You're really warming up to me. Her face got even redder. You're the most insufferable person I've ever met. I was only returning a favor. You fixed my fountain. that?" Leo laughed. The problem had been so simple, he'd almost forgot about it. One of Bron's satyr had been turned sideways and the water pressure was off, so it started making an annoying ticking sound, jiggling up and down, and spewing water on the rim of the pool. He pulled out a couple of tools and fixed it in about 2 minutes. That was no big deal. I don't like it when things don't work right. And the curtains across the cave entrance? That rod wasn't level. And my gardening tools? Look, I just sharpened the shears. Cutting vines with a dull blade is dangerous. And the pruners needed to be oiled at the hinge. And, oh yeah, Calypso said in a pretty good imitation of his voice. You're really warming up to me. For once Leo was speechless. Calypso's eyes glittered. He knew she was making fun of him, but somehow it didn't feel mean. He pointed at his work table. What are you building? Oh, he looked at Bron's mirror, which he finished wiring up to the arc hemisphere in the screen's polished surface. His own reflection surprised him. His hair had grown out longer and curlier. His face was thinner and more chiseled, maybe because he hadn't been eating. His eyes were dark and a little ferocious when he wasn't smiling. Kind of Tarzan look, as if Tarzan came in extra smell Latino, he couldn't blame Calypso for backing away from him. It's a seeing device, he said. We found one like this in Rome, in the workshop of Archidemus. If I can make it work, maybe I can find out what's going on with my friends. Calypso shook her head. That's impossible. This island is hidden, cut off from the world by strong magic. Time doesn't even flow the same here. You've got to have some kind of outside contact. How did you find out that I used to wear an army jacket? She twisted her hair as if this question made her uncomfortable. Seeing the past is simple magic. Seeing the present or the future, that is not. Right? Yeah, well, Leo said. Watch and learn, sunshine. I just connect these last two wires and the bronze plate sparkled. Smoke billowed from the sphere. A flash fire raced up Leo's sleeve. He pulled off his shirt, threw it down, and stomped on it. He could tell Calypso was trying not to laugh. She was shaking with effort. Not a word, Leo warned. He glanced at his bare chest, which was sweaty, bony, and streaked with old scars from weapon-making accidents. Nothing worth commenting on, she assured him. If you want that device to work, perhaps you should try a musical invocation. Right, he said. Whenever an engine malfunctions, I like to tap dance around it. Works every time. She took a deep breath and began to sing. Her voice hit him like a cool breeze, like that first cold front in Texas, when the summer heat finally breaks and you start to believe things might get better. Leo couldn't understand the words, but the song was plaintive and bittersweet, as if she were describing a home she could never return to. Her singing was magic, no doubt. It was like Medea's trance-inducing voice, or even Piper's chant speak. The music didn't want anything from him. It simply reminded him of his best memories. Building things with his mum in her workshop, sitting in the sunshine with his friends at camp. It made him miss home. Calypso stopped singing. Leo realized he was staring like an idiot. Any luck? She asked. He forced his eyes back to the bronze mirror. Nothing. Wait. The screen glowed in the air above it. Holographic pictures shimmered to life. Leo recognized the commons at Camp Half-Blood. There was no sound, but Clarice LaRue from the Ares cabin was yelling orders at the campers, forming them into lines. Leo's brethren from Cabin 9 hurried around, fitting everyone with armor and passing out weapons. Even Cheer in the center was dressed for war. He trotted up and down the ranks, his plump helmet gleaming, his legs decked in bronze greavers. His usual friendly smile was gone, replaced with a look of grim determination. determination. In the distance, Greek triremes floated on Long Island Sound, prepared for war. Along the hills, catapults were being primed. Satyrs patrolled the fields, and riders on Percy circled overhead, alert for aerial attacks. "Your friends?" Calypso asked. Leo nodded. His face felt numb. "They're preparing for war." "Against whom?" "Look," Leo said. The scene changed. A barracks of Roman demigods marched through the moonlight of vineyard. An illuminated sight in the distance read, Goldsmith Winery. "I've seen that sign before," Leo said. "That's not far from Camp Half-Blood." Suddenly the Roman ranks determined into chaos. Demigods scattered, shields fell, javelins swung wildly, like the whole group had stepped in fire ants. Darting through the moonlight were two small hairy shapes, dressed in mismatched clothes and garish hats. They seemed to be everywhere at once, whacking Romans on the head, stealing their weapons, cutting their belts so their trousers fell around their ankles. Leo couldn't help grinning. Those beautiful little troublemakers, they kept their promise. Calypso leaned in, watching the Kirkopes. "Cousins of yours?" "Ha ha 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 ha. "No," Leo said. "Couple of dwarfs I met in Bologna. I sent them to slow down the Romans, and they're doing it before how long?" Calypso wondered. "Good question." The scene shifted again. Leo saw Octavian, that no-good blonde scarecrow Olga. He stood in a gas station parking lot, surrounded by black stuffs and Roman demigods. He held up a long pole wrapped in canvas. When he uncovered it, a golden eagle glimmered at the top. "Oh, that's not good," Leo said. "A Roman standard," Calypso noted. "Yeah, and this one shoots lightning, according to Percy." As soon as he said Percy's name, Leo regretted it. He glanced at Calypso. He could see in her eyes how much she was struggling, trying to marshal her emotions into neat, orderly rows, like strands on her loom. What surprised Leo was the surge of anger he felt. It wasn't just annoyance or jealousy. He was mad at Percy for hurting this girl. He refocused on the holographic images. Now he saw a single rider, Rena, the praetor from Camp Jupiter, flying through a storm on the back of a light brown Pegasus. Rena's dark hair flew in the wind. Her purple cloak fluttered, revealing the glimmer of her armor. She was bleeding from cuts on her arms and face. The Pegasus' eyes were still wild, his mouth slathering from hard riding, but Rena peered steadfastly forwards into the storm. As Leo watched, a wild Gryphon dived out of the clouds. It raked its claws across the horse's ribs, almost throwing Rena. She drew her sword and slashed the monster down. Seconds later, 3 Venti appeared, dark air swirling like miniature tornadoes, lacing with lightning. Rena charged them, yelling deafeningly. Then the bronze mirror went dark. "No!" Leo yelled. "No, not now! Show me what happens." He banged the mirror. Calypso, can you sing again or something?" She glared at him. "I suppose that is your girlfriend, your Penelope, your Elizabeth, your Annabeth." What? Leo couldn't figure this girl out. Half the stuff she said made no sense. "That's Rena. She's not my girlfriend. I need to see more. I need. A voice rumbled in the ground beneath his feet. Leo staggered, suddenly felt like he was standing on the surface of a trampoline. Need is an overused word. A swirling human figure erupted from the sand. Leo's least favourite goddess, the mistress of mud, the princess of potty, sludge Gaia herself. Leo threw a pair of pliers at her. Fortunate she wasn't solid. As they passed right through her, her eyes were closed. But she didn't look asleep exactly. She had a smile on her dust devil face, as if she were instantly intently listening to her favourite song. Her sandy robes shifted and folded, reminding Leo of the undulating fins of that stupid shrimpzilla monster they'd fought in Atlantic for his money. Though Gaia was uglier. You want to live, Gaia said. You want to join your friends, but you do not need this, my poor boy. It would make no difference. Your friends will die regardless. Leo's legs shook. He hated it, but whenever this witch appeared, he felt like he was 8 years old again. Strapped off the lobby of his mom's machine shop, listening to Gaia's soothing, easeful voice while his mother was locked inside the burning warehouse, dying from heat and smoke. What I don't need, he growled, is more lies from you. Dirt face. You told me my great-granddad died in the 1960s. Wrong. You told me I couldn't save my friends in Rome. Wrong. You told me a lot of things. Gaia's laughter was soft, rustling down like gravel trickling down a hill at the first moments of an avalanche. I tried to help you make better choices. You could have saved yourself, but you defied me at every step. You built your ship. You joined that foolish quest. Now you're trapped here, helpless, while the mortal world dies. Leo's hands bursts into flame. He wanted to melt Gaia's sandy face to glass. Then he felt Calypso's hand on his shoulder. Gaia, her voice was stern and steady. You are not welcome. Leo wished he could sound as confident as Calypso. Then he remembered that this annoying 15-year-old girl was actually the immortal daughter of a titan. Ah, Calypso, Gaia raised her arms as if for a hug. Still here, I see, despite the gods' promises. Why do you think that is, my dear grandchild? Are the Olympians being spiteful, leaving you with no company except this undergrown fool? Or they have simply forgotten you because you are not worth their time. Calypso stared straight through the smiling face of Gaia all the way to the horizon. Yes, Gaia murmured sympathetically. The Olympians are faithless. They do not give second chances. Why do you hold out hope? You support your father, Atlas, in his great war. You knew that the gods must be destroyed. Why you hesitated now? I offer you a chance that Jesus will never give you. Where were you these last 3,000 years? Calypso asked. If you were so concerned with my fate, why do you visit me only now? Gaia turned up her pants. The earth is slow to wake. War comes in its own time, but do not think it will pass you by on Odyaja. When I remake the world, this prison will be destroyed as well. Odyaja destroyed. Calypso shook her head, as if she couldn't imagine those two words going together. You do not have to be here when that happens again, I promised. Join me now, kill this boy, spill his blood upon the earth, and help me to wake. I will free you and grant you any wish. Freedom, revenge against the gods, even a prize. Would you still have the demigod Percy Jackson? I will spare him for you. I will raise him from Tartarus. He will be yours to punish or to love, as you two only killed this trespassing boy. Show your loyalty. Several scenarios went through Leo's head, none of them good. It was positive Calypso would strangle him on the spot or order her invisible wind servants to chop him into with Leo Perry. Why shouldn't she? Gaia was making her the ultimate deal. Kill one annoying guy, get a handsome one for free. Calypso thrust her hands towards Gaia with a three-fingered gesture. Leo recognized from Camp Half-Blood the ancient Greek warred against evil. This is not just my prison, grandmother. It is my home, and you are the trespasser. The wind ripped Gaia's form into nothingness, scattering the sand into the blue sky. Leo swallowed. Don't take this the wrong way, but you didn't kill me. Are you crazy? Calypso's eyes smoldered with anger, but for once Leo didn't think the anger was aimed at him. Your friends must need you, or else they would not ask for your death. Yeah, I guess. Then we have to work to do, she said. We must get you back to your ship. The end. Thank you for a lovely 55-minute story. But bye now. I'll see you next time. But please subscribe and go to P if you really like this video. So bye for now. And really, you should watch my videos and please subscribe, okay? Bye.